Hello, Tom Levecchia here with the latest edition of the New Theory podcast. And if you could hear the excitement in my voice, my soul is screaming right now with today's next guest. So listen, if you guys are, this guy does many things, but if you are a Power fan, and I'm not just saying this because he's Italian, he's my favorite character on the show and brings an awesome dynamic. This guy has been in Sleepers, recently The Brooklyn Banker, and honestly, if we sat with his IMDb, we'd be here way too long. But nevertheless, welcome to the New Theory podcast, Joe Perrino. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much, Tom. Appreciate it, man. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm well. So we're gonna jump right into it. So give us your formative years. Give us your formative years. What kind of makes you, and let's lead into how and why you got into acting.
Yeah, I'll take you way back. You want me to start? I'll start at the beginning.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let me start at the beginning. Yeah, man, I started acting when I was 14 years old, and it was kind of by accident in a way. And it was on my 14th birthday.
Oh, wow.
And, my 14th birthday, and I grew up on Arthur Avenue in the Bronx.
Nice.
The little Italy of the Bronx. And we were eating at Mario's restaurant. Shout out to Mario's restaurant.
Okay.
My brother kind of was pulling my arm. He was forcing me to come outside to go sneak a smoke around the block. He was
Love it.
At the time he's 17 years old. I'm 14, so I was like, I don't want to go around the block. He's like, come on, let's go around the block, Dick. Then we go around the block. We're under the Enrico Fermi Library. And a casting director for Sleepers, this movie Sleepers.
Of course.
He was driving by, and he stopped his car. He got out of the car, and he came and he gave us his business card. And he said, hey, I run the Belmont Italian American Playhouse. It's right there, a block away. Your parents know me. I'm not a weirdo. Come try out for this movie. Yeah. And he gave me his business card. As soon as he gave me his business card, I like a bulb went off in my head. I said, this is what I'm going to do with my life. I'm going to be an actor. I felt like I needed, I guess, in a way, coming from a blue-collar background, I felt like I needed permission,
Yeah, I was going to say,
I felt like I needed someone to say, you can do this. And it all made sense because I had a vivid imagination. I always lived in my imagination. I loved movies. So I as soon as he gave me the card, I committed myself right then and there, and I eventually got the role of Shakes Lorenzo Carcaterra in that film.
Wow!
And
all right, there's so much going on here, Joe. So I'm going to try to let's dissect this. So the first thing is, and I actually listen because we're all human, so I internalize what you said, and my first reaction is, how well did that go to Italian American? Were they look at you like you had 10 heads, or were they supportive? How was that? How did that conversation go?
My family with my parents, they were ecstatic.
Awesome.
My father, when I went home, my father was like, "What? They they make a movie.
You get paid?
Yeah, okay. Good. They pay you money." Yeah. He was my biggest fan. My old man.
Wow.
It was very different than I can guess a lot of other families. It was right around that time when my father, it was right around that time when you would get that after school job, 13, 14 years old. My old man was kind of, so what do you want to do? You want to work at the pizzeria? And then this came along, and I eventually got it, and they were over the moon. My father was just over the moon. My mother was more like, you sure you want this for your life? But I'll say this. Let me say this. My mother would I would have heart-to-hearts with her as an 11, 12-year-old kid. I was like a depressed little kid. And I would say, Mom, I don't love school. I'm not the biggest athlete. I don't have a passion. There's not something that really stirs my heart. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. And my mother would say, don't worry, Mama, don't worry. One day someone's going to find you on the street and show you what you're going to do. I swear to God.
Dude, that's bananas.
And that's what happened. Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
So this is and this is going to be an odd question, but I think you'll know the answer. That's a pretty
Fire
big. That's a pretty big gig on the jump. Like meaning you're next to Brad Pitt, you're next to some serious people.
De Niro. I was working with De Niro. Yeah.
I would have short my pants just by being near him. But so I exactly right. So my point being is, was it like, oh my God, this is easy? Like what happened after that? Because you almost like got laid on the first date. You're like, wow, this is great. Like what happened after that?
After Sleepers?
Yeah, because like what I'm saying is you got a huge level of success early, and I'm not saying you didn't work hard. I'm not saying you deserve it, but it's almost like, wow, is this easy? And then became hard, or no? Did were you always charmed? Walk me through that.
Yeah, great question. No, Sleepers was such a like gift. It was like something out of a dream. That the subject matter, the type of role.
Yep.
And I felt like it was like tailored to me in kind of like its emotional weight and how the character was written. It was very much in line with my level of emotional capacity, I guess I could say.
Yeah.
So after that, the biggest agencies in the business were like fighting over me, basically. CAA, Creative Artist Agency, and UTA.
Wow.
They were kind of, they were fighting over me. The people who won, eventually CAA won. They sent a huge bouquet of flowers to my mother. So I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna go with these guys.
There's a little Barjou and Simondouja, and you're good.
What's that?
So I'm saying, sent over a little prosciutto, and like your mother's like, oh, we like that.
Yeah. They sent over a nice big bouquet, but I went with them, and basically, long story short, unless you want the long of it, I ended up sabotaging my career because it came so easily to me, and
that was
my
point. Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah, I would look in the mirror and I would say, you're not really an artist, Joe, because you didn't have the struggle. I would watch Inside the Actor's Studio and I would see people talking about how they were waiters and they were in between auditions and they would struggle. And I said, I don't have that story. I don't have that. So I ended up sabotaging my career, along with eventually, that kind of being disenchanted with that. And then my old man ended up getting sick and he passed away. And then he passes away, and then all of his prescription painkillers are laying around. So then you want to numb the pain, so you start taking those things. So it was a couple of years of a dark period. And then you come out of it and you rebuild,
So during the dark period, did you? And it's funny because like you don't know until you know, and probably same for you. Did you know like you're in the dark period? I mean, you were like, not. It was okay, but like you're just gonna get out of it. Or did you realize you were in a dark period afterwards when you graduated from it? So I want to kind of go along that progression.
Yeah, no, I was. I realized I was in a dark period right, in the middle of it. I did. If you realize, what a huge blessing it was. But when I did The Sopranos, which listen, I never was on any painkiller or on any drug or anything while I acted. That was never the case. I had a respect for that. That was like the highest of respect. But when on downtime, I took these pills to numb the pain, and then you become addicted, so you need them. But if you watch The Sopranos, you see that I'm puffy, I'm a little pudgy. And this other project after that, I did this film, Assassination of a High School President, around the same time, and that was at my worst.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was never high on set while I acted, but at nighttime and it makes you retain water and all that shit. So, I was quite chubby. I was not myself.
So okay, so you obviously like you had a lot of Italian roles, a lot of Italian American roles, and I get that. But so where did you live? Because I want to get into your personal life at the time, right? So like when you kind of got to the dark period and you got cooking again, where did you live? Were you like a New York guy? Did more of the East Coast roles? Were you LA? Were you by coast?
I was. I was back in the Bronx because my father passed away, so I was living back in the house I grew up with to, emotional support and financial support to my mother.
Of course.
And so, I'm back in the Bronx, and I'm doing my thing, auditioning, some going great, some not so great, some people saying, to my representation, like, Joe, yeah, he's great, how's he doing? He's a little chubby, he's a little puffy. Like, okay. And then some, auditions going terrible, and, so that's kind of like, doesn't go so well, and the casting directors see you in a certain light. So anyway, at the end of all of that, you come out of it. Like, you get clean, you stay clean, and you rebuild. You show them who you really are, and your truth. So
now, looking back, what role are you most proud of?
What role am I most proud of? Well, I got to say, I don't know. I'm grateful for all the roles, but I guess the most exciting is right now. The Power is definitely a huge blessing. Nice. Yeah, Power is a blessing. Man, it's just great working with all these guys, and to play, the head of my family. As a young kid, you grow up in a certain type of neighborhood. That's you want to play that at least once.
Exactly. So before we get into Power, because that's like my favorite. Like, again, you're my favorite. Sorry, Amari and like Jessica Core, but like, you're my favorite actor on it for many reasons. We'll get into that in a second.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
You're welcome. What's your biggest fuck up to date, personal, professionally? What you're willing to share? Just something that was just like a categorical, colossal fuck up in your career, or whatever you want to share.
My biggest fuck up in my career, I wouldn't say. With your career, you find yourself, you do what you can, you do what you need to do. You just got to keep moving forward. I guess, I'd say my biggest fuck up was getting addicted to opioids and kind of dealing with that and going into certain casting rooms and making bad impressions, and that leaves a kind of a somewhat of a lasting impression. I wouldn't say for your entire career, but you have to go and reprove yourself again. So I guess that you could say that's a fuck up, going into the rooms, not doing your best, not looking your best, and you have to start over again.
Now, before we get into Power, your career is on a huge upswing, and the cool thing is, you have an interesting career though, because you kind of started off really strong, right? And then, admittedly, you said you had a little dark period, which probably affected the roles you got. But then, like, you're emerging even stronger, and like, you see what I'm saying? Like, so, like, are you content with your career right now? Did you feel like you're ahead of where you could and should be? Are you a little remiss maybe because of the dark day? Where's Joe Perrino at right now versus how you thought you would be?
Okay, I am grateful. I'm grateful for where I am. I feel I should be. I'm grateful for where I'm at. Yeah. I should be further along, but that's because of my own choices in the past. But I'm very grateful for where I'm at. I'm grateful for this period in my life. At the end of the day, I'm very much about, expressing gratitude and being grateful in the moment for your blessings. I feel very blessed. But, I feel, at times I should be further along, but that's what's going to happen. I will be further along. So you can't really stay stuck on something like that. You're here for a reason, to learn some lessons, and just have your eye on the prize,
Interesting. Okay, so so question, and I know you'll give me a candid answer. Were you a Power fan before you got the nod?
I hadn't seen an episode. I kept hearing about it from friends of mine. They kept saying, "Oh, Power, man, you got to watch Power. You got to Power. You're gonna love Power." Because
no, I'm
yeah, no, because I'm a huge fan. I love New York. I'm a huge New Yorker. Love it. The energy. There's nothing like this city. So Power is very much a New York, show shot in and around New York. The New York flavor. And I'm very much a crime drama fan. So nice. Friends were always like, "You got to check this show out." So I'd never seen it. I was a fan of the actors. I'd seen Omari and some other projects, and Joe Shikora, pardon me. My man Joe was I saw him on True Detectives and a couple of other things, and I'm like, "Oh, this guy is he's a chameleon." So I knew who he was, and I was a fan. And when the audition came through, I just had a good feeling. I was very, very much. It harkened back to when I got the audition for Sleepers. I said, "Oh, this is going to be mine. This is mine."
I love it. I love it. So one of my things was, and I'm a huge fan from the beginning, and I just kind of felt. I'm an Italian-American guy. I'm a Godfather guy. Goodfellas, the whole bit. And again, we'll talk about it in a second. Romanticized publicly and probably where you grew up. The real deal. So there's always a conflict. But again, we'll chat about that. But where I kind of was like with Power, I kind of felt, and I know like Corny Kemp's producer, writer, and Gary Lennon. You got a great group, and I kind of felt like how can these guys operate without not being tinged by the mob at some point? So I kind of felt, although they went through a great storyline, I kind of felt they did it at the right time because it was almost like a different dynamic where it was like, oh, shit, the mob kind of got brought in. And one thing I love about your character, and I probably when you first read it, you probably took a double take, I like the fact that you're new and old school. And you were drinking like wheatgrass or something versus espresso. So how was it when you first read about Vincent Ragni? Were you like, what the hell's going on here? Or what was your take when you first read the script or the whatever you read when you first get the job?
Yeah, no, I was very inspired by it. I loved how they were going. They were specific in a way in the breakdown that they were going young. I said, oh, that's good for me. That bodes well for me because in the past it's been I went out for these types of roles, but they said, oh, he's too young to be like the mob a little ahead or this or that, like we want a little older looking. So, but the wheatgrass and all that was sprung on me on the first day. I didn't know about it. And it's just, it mirrors my life because I'm very much like that. I drink celery juice every morning. I'm very much into wellness and health and balance, and I said, this is funny, man, because this is more who I am than, I drink my coffee, but I have my wheatgrass or my celery juice first thing in the morning. So this is more me than I thought it would be. So, I loved it. The table reading. You don't know exactly where they're going to go with anything, but this comes from Courtney Kemp herself. This is not a secret. Many people, the creators, have told me the character was only supposed to be for 5 episodes.
Yeah, because I kind of figured that. I figured it was going to be kind of a side story, but I think you crushed it. I know you crushed it as an actor, and I'm assuming it resonated, no?
Yeah. She told me that you were only supposed to be on board for, a handful of episodes. So we changed our minds, You were supposed to go the way of the dodo bird, but we enjoy what you're doing, so they kept me on,
So one of my favorite parts, I have 2 favorite parts. One that involves Lala at the car, or something like that, and even me or whatever. But the second one, or my favorite, or the second one I'm going to bring up is when you're like to Tommy, we're monsters. Like,
yeah,
that's fucking insane. Walk me through, like,
that's great writing.
Yeah, but not just that. Like, you could fucking act like, where did you draw inspiration from? Was it from the movies? Was it from the social club on, 187?
Right.
Like, what were some of your inspirations? Because you nailed it.
Yeah, good question.
Well, don't name them specifically because we don't need knocks on the doors, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Great question. Oh, well, Vincent is an amalgam of me. How that part of me that I can see in these situations. If I'm, you mix up some of the ingredients. If it's me and I'm raised truly in this life, it's that and some outside inspirations and influences from the films we grew up watching, and some dudes that I grew up around. Some very serious dudes that I watched growing up, how they conduct themselves and how they, their behavior, how they look at someone, how they talk. So it's all that swirling about. It's all that. It's a mixture of a few different things, but it has to be that's also mainly that part of you who would be that in that time, and that part of you who is that. You got to find that within you.
Well, so I would say you nailed it, right? And on top of it, and this is always an interesting dichotomy because I've had you probably go online and you're active on Instagram. There's a lot of good pockets of Italian sites, Italian American sites. We're getting a little older now where stuff that, like the plastic couch and all that kind of stuff is, nostalgic. So, there is an appetite for preserving the Italian American culture, So,
right.
And one thing I always conflicted with personally, and I wanted to run this by you, how you feel is, obviously mobsters in real life, and I had some on the show, and obviously living in New Jersey, we knew many growing up. They're bad people. They're bad dudes, And the real deal is it's not like it not like it really is. However, in power, I'm looking at you like you're the Roma soccer team, representing Italian Americans, and I'm putting you on a pedestal. So I'm so conflicted, So how do you reconcile that? Are you because I can imagine you probably have a dichotomous thought towards it, or no, is it just a job? But I'm just saying, for me, I'm rooting for you, but you're a bad dude. You are a bad dude.
Yeah. I don't. I see what you mean, but we can't, as an actor, you're taught you can't judge your character that way. I look at it as a guy. I'm just trying to lead my family. I'm trying to lead my team and trying to make the best choices. I don't approach it like thinking during a scene, I'm a bad man and we're doing bad things. I'm trying to preserve my people, my family, trying to make the best decisions for myself, for them. It's a business. This is a business, and people get trampled over. If you want to make a few bucks, you gotta break a few eggs. So that's how I look at it. But I agree with you. Being around the genuine articles, it's not like film or television. It can be very uncomfortable, and there's nothing really romantic about it at all. But this is TV. This is gotta make some entertainment. But it's very different, and I have no qualms about playing a gangster at all. I'm not this guy, and I don't condone. There's no future in crime. And I don't think the show, it's, a lot of these shows, all these shows are soap operas in a way, but they might romanticize it, right there in the moment, but they show that there are repercussions and everybody pays a price, whether they're going to jail, whether they're dying.
True.
So I think everyone's, responsible with their depictions.
Now, and again, I'm really sorry to hear about your father, and then how, is your mom doing, and how did the relationship with your family dynamic change after the patriarch passes? I know we're kind of going back to your personal, but I just kind of wanted to kind of get to see where you're at now with your personal life and also your career as well. I just want to learn a little bit more about along those lines.
Yeah, well, I have my mother. God bless her. She's well. She lives with my brother, and my sister-in-law, and my niece, Madeline. And everybody's doing well. We were a small family, but we were always very close, and it just brought us closer together. Yeah, I live in Manhattan for a few years now, so that was always like the dream since I was a kid. It's not far, Manhattan isn't far from the Bronx at all, but it might as well be like 3,000 miles away in a lot of ways. So I'm very grateful for where I'm at in my life. I feel very blessed. I have a lady. My lady, I've been with her for about 6 years now. So she's a wonderful partner, great woman, and I feel very blessed, man. I mean, my principles, how I live by, is giving gratitude is huge for me. And
sorry, go ahead, and then I got a question. You brought up something. All right, so principles. So I'm actually reading a book called Principles by Ray Dalio, Italian American, and he's worth $20 billion. And he says that your principles have to be aligned with all your actions and transparency and the whole bit. And growing up as an Italian American, we kind of have a consistent level of principles that are based off of family dynamic, loyalty, and all that kind of stuff. What were some of the principles that you grew up with that maybe as you got older you either decided to abandon or like, these aren't really my principles? And what were those things, and how did you react? And what are some of the things maybe you stopped doing or maybe started doing as you grew up?
Good question. Good questions, Tom. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, okay, you come from a certain neighborhood. Now, there are pros and cons to everything, right? Coming from Arthur Avenue, close-knit neighborhood, kind of like stopped in time in a way. I growing up in the 90s there. It might as well have been 1965. Everyone knows each other. You got some real tough dudes who, go to bat for you if you got a problem on the streets. They'll do that. So then that's a pro. That's a pro. You got a pro there. The cons. There's a lot of convicts. There's a lot of ex-cons and cons. And there are people, like you find in any small town or small neighborhood, outer borough, whatever it is, people who aren't happy in their lives. So they project that onto you. So there's a lot of people who are walking around saying, I'm miserable, this and that, and they don't want to see a smile on your face because they're not having a good day. So the principles you're raised with in the neighborhood is like, loyalty above everything. But if your friend starts a problem and even if he's in the wrong, you fight for that till the death, even if that means you're getting killed, right? That's how you're raised, I remember. Yeah. That was abandoned. That was abandoned years ago for me as I became a man, and you realize that, no, I'm not going to be sucked into something just because I'm with someone who's supposed to be my friend and they're having a bad day. They want to go start a melee. I'm not going to get sucked into that because of them. A drowning person will take you down with them. So that's abandoned. True. Loyalty to a friend who is, someone's having a problem. They're having emotional issues. Someone's passed away. You help your friend. You're there for them, no matter what. But if the person doesn't want to help themselves and all that, that's a different story. You don't, growing up, it used to be you just put the blinders on. You're loyal to a fault, no matter what. And that, to me, as a kid, as a teen, that was romantic in a way. It's like, my friend is, even if, no matter what happens, we're there together, we're going down together. Yeah, there's something to be said for that, but you have your own life and your own passions and your own wants. You have to, what you owe life and God and your loved ones is for you to make something of yourself. That's what you owe life. So that's abandoned, just being there for one for all for one, even if the leader or someone is, wants to, they're suicidal, that's gone. Now my father, what my father's principles, God bless him, he stressed two of them to my brother and I. Two. One was never be cheap. He would always say, don't you be cheap. Don't be cheap, Papa, because it's a sickness. Don't be cheap. even though he was generous to a fault.
Wow.
He was generous to a fault. He would spend his last dollar on his friends or whoever. So that's don't be cheap, but you also got to think about yourself a little bit. So I found a way to balance that out. And this other one is there's no real arguing it. He's like, don't ever put your hands on a woman.
Yeah.
That's what he said. You don't ever hit a woman, Papa. And he's right about that. You don't put your hands on a woman unless she's a maniac who's coming at you with a weapon or something, and you don't know her. Then you might give her a kick to the chin. I mean, there's exceptions. There's exceptions to these rules, but yeah, those were two that he stressed to me, man.
I love it. Would you say you're your father's son?
Yeah, my brother is more my father's son, because my father was like a real, he broke chops. He was a real ball breaker, and he liked to troll people just for laughs. My brother is very much that quick-witted, sharp-tongued dude, more than me. I'm a mixture of my mother and father.
Love it. Now, we're going to be wrapping up soon, but we talked about this prior to the call. So you and Joseph Sikora went, back to the homeland.
Oh,
went
man.
to Italy. Go through that trip, because that's balls, bro. I love that. How did that all come about?
That was great, man. Yeah, when I met Joe, my first few scenes were with him, but yeah, they were with him before I met Omari, who was a wonderful actor and gentleman, great energy. But I met Joe first, and he welcomed me onto the set, and we hit it off. And I mentioned, I'm going to Italy this summer, and I was like, you should come. And it was a genuine invite, but
yeah,
he was like, you know what, we're looking to travel. Me and my wife are looking to travel this summer, so I think we might take you up on it.
Oh, sure.
Cut to a couple of months later, he's like, we got the trip booked, and it was amazing. I think it was like the best trip of my life. I hadn't been there. I haven't been to Italy in 10 years.
Wow.
10 years ago. And it was my grandfather, my mother's father, who's my last remaining grandparent alive.
Wow.
And it was his 90th birthday. So we went over there. Me, my mother, my brother, my immediate family, my lady, Yuri,
nice.
Joe, and his wife. And we spent a few days in Rome. And I took him to the town. He loved Gallo. He loved it. We were just drinking and eating, breathing the fresh air. And then we went back to Rome. We spent another couple of days in Rome. It was amazing. It was right when the show was airing as well, and just a lot of just great energy, great laughs. It was amazing. He loved it.
That's awesome. Now, I'm assuming is Power in Italy? They probably didn't know what it was, right?
No, it's huge.
Really?
Huge it's huge in Rome. We were in Rome waiting for the train. It was crazy. When we got there, we were in Rome waiting for the train. And this is, I believe, before season 5, the episodes just started airing. Maybe got there on a Saturday, and the next day, that Sunday, it was going to start airing season 5. And we got there, and people were like, oh, and they were taking pictures with them. And then by the time we went to the Coliseum, they were recognizing him and me. People were like, oh.
That's awesome.
It was amazing, man. It was amazing. Yeah, he's a great dude.
What is your most obscure place or time, or obviously now you're gonna walk around and to be candid, if I saw you prior to Power, I would look at you and do the whole where do I know you from, But now obviously I attach you to Vincent. When you go out and about now, what are some of the cool or any obscure, or anybody who's theoretically more famous, what are some of the cool things that happened since, you came out as Vincent Ragni, the character?
Oh, well, it's a lot of love, a lot of recognition on the subway. It seems like every bouncer from every bar really watches the show. They're heavy on Power, so it's like, you get a little extra love and attention, and maybe potential protection. When you're in a bar, they're like, "Oh yeah, you good? You all right?" Yeah. I mean, some days, which I don't go looking for it. Maybe a little bit, but no, I don't. But some days, there's nothing. No one recognizes you or whatever. And then some days, there's about 8 to 10 people who come up to me. So, but I love it. I mean, I love acting, and the love and recognition is a byproduct, and I appreciate it very much.
That's awesome. So we're going to be wrapping up soon. So and I know you're probably muzzled to an extent, but should we expect from Vincent Ragni in season 6?
Expect actions. Expect actions happening. Season 6 is going to be very much a action-packed season. There's a lot going on. I'm not even saying just from Vincent Ragni, but it's from everyone. There's a lot going on. Everybody just stay tuned. Be prepared. There's a lot going down.
I love it. So my final question is, what is a question that I didn't ask that you wish I did?
A question that you didn't ask. We didn't talk about passions.
Yeah, let's talk about that in a second. I hope you're not in a rush because I'm not saying forever, but I don't want to hold down. So let's talk about passions. Let's talk about
passions. Yeah, quick little rundown of passions, like this is a dating show or something.
That's
what do I love? Hey, my passions. I love New York City. New York City is still a passion. I walk out every day and I want to kiss the streets. I love taking long strolls. In these city streets, taking a long stroll, it just gets my creative juices flowing, my gratitude flowing. I love hanging out, a good happy hour with my buddies, with my friends. I love hamburgers. I'm a huge hamburger aficionado.
Really?
Huge. If hamburgers and French fries are like my favorite thing in the world, I try not to eat them, every day.
So, whoa, what's give us the best burger on each coast. Let's start with that.
Best burger, I find myself craving when I want one, like heavily craving Shake Shack. So Shake Shack is up there. Yeah, nice, Shake Shack is a good burger. Yeah.
Have you had Bill's before?
Bill's?
Yeah.
Is that Bill's Burger? Is that in Meatpacking District?
I think there might be one now. There's one there, I believe, and there's one near the Tree. I think I'm actually a chain now. And I went there when I went to the Tree, and I fell in love with it, and that was like kind of my go-to premium burger for like a minute. If you haven't tried it out, I don't know what the original was. You probably Google it, but you definitely, I think, would enjoy it if you're a burger guy.
Oh yeah, I went to a Bill's, I believe. It was in the Meatpacking District, and I recall it was pretty good burger.
Nice.
Yeah.
How about West Coast? Are you a In-N-Out guy, or what's your go-to?
Oh yeah, I've tried all of them on the West Coast. Yeah, I guess. I love In-N-Out. Fat Burger is another one.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm all about a hamburger, man. Now I'm starting to crave one right now.
Get on Uber Eats, right? So okay. Yeah. So passions more. Let's go deeper. Listen, Joe. I want this to be your best interview that you've ever done, and to be the benchmark for the rest of the interviews you do for the rest of your life. So give us some real juice. Give us your passions. Like, okay, you love hamburgers. You seem like you probably don't know you are like a healthy guy. Yeah. But you seem spiritual. We can chat about that if you want. But like there's a lot more going on here, and I would love to tap a little deeper. Give us a little bit more about your passions, so we can know a little bit more about you. Yeah.
We're talking about spirituality. I'm very much into that. I believe we all have our guardian angels, our spirit guides, and I try and be sensitive and open to the messages that they give us on our paths, because they will give you guidance. If you're a little blocked up, you may not see these signs, but they will give you guidance if you're listening, So into that, I'm getting into a little more about getting into boxing a little more, picking up a different form of exercise, but not as much as I should. But I'm trying to be committed to that to try and get my boxing game strong this year.
That's awesome. It just you know what I love is and like I said, one thing I like and I love about you is because listen, I know even within the Italian American community, unfortunately, there's not a divide per se, but like for me, it really resonates that your family's from there. You still go back. Don't get me wrong; it's important to be Italian American. It's important to know the culture. But I believe, candidly, that the Italian culture, Italian American culture, true Italian American culture, is much different than what's reported on TV and stuff. And I love the fact that you are kind of, I guess now not by choice, because now I'm going to benedict you as kind of like a representative of the modern day Italian. The guy that is, will be healthy and will not have just bad food, and you're in good shape, and you're spiritual, and I love all that about you. What are some of your faults though? Do you piss excellence all the time? What are some of your faults?
Some of my faults? Oh, I can be, I guess my girlfriend helped me kind of. I was watching Sebastian Maniscalco the other day, and we both were. His new special on Netflix. Yes. And it very much resonated because he said his bit when he's like, my wife doesn't argue. She doesn't raise her voice. Yes. Me, I want to do that. She doesn't. She's I have to throw my what did you say? I have to throw my. I
forget. I know what you're saying.
Down to my feet. I have to bring it down to my feet. Press my temper down to my feet. And that's kind of me. It's like after a few months when my brother met my girlfriend, he was like, "What did you do to my brother? What did you do to him? You kind of changed him." I was a little more of a. I still have that within me, the fire. It's like the pilot light never goes out. You just can dim it or raise it. It never goes out. But my lady definitely dimmed it. I can definitely be a blustery, temperamental dude, but through the years I've really worked on that. I can have a temper. My ego can, like anyone else, it's a daily battle of ego and all that. But I try and stay as balanced as possible, man.
I love it. I love it. So one last question, and then we'll wrap it up. This was supposed to end 5 times already, but I figured I love this. 20 minutes allocated. We doubled our time. But listen, organic conversation and authenticity is most meaningful. What advice do you have to somebody that because that's the thing, right? Listen, I say if somebody listened this far, they're either family or a stalker, But the third part may be a person who's generally interested in what you have to say. And 46 Minutes Steve, the person that's listening, what do you say to the person going through that dark period right now? Because they may not even know it, or they do know it and they're having a hard time getting out. So what advice can you give to that person right now who's listening?
Going through any dark period?
Yeah, so let's say I'm listening and going through a really rough patch and kind of like what you went through, and you've been not only out of it, but you succeeded, So what do you say to that person?
Just don't give up. Don't give up. And, there's always something to be grateful for, and you start there. Be grateful for whatever you have, whatever feel like a blessing, whether you're able to walk around, whether you have your eyesight, you start there. At the foundation, it's always something to be grateful for. And, things will get better. Usually it takes time if you're going through whatever it is, depression, but you find different tools to cope. Meditation helps. There are different herbs to take. It's kind of like natural, assistance, adaptogens, and so forth. So there's a lot that'll help you. And it's easy to try and, give up, but just hang in there. It gets better.
I love it, Joe. And just we didn't chat about this, but I had a brother named Joe, unfortunately, who passed, and my son named after him. Thank you. And I named that my son after him, which I know you're not supposed to kind of do when people would pass early, but my son is Giuseppe after him. And so
that's my name. That's my birth name, Giuseppe. That's my name.
Oh, see? So, and I just it's cool because you just get it, and you're a great guy, and I just feel like, you know, you kind of, and again, respectfully, I feel like this may be a big role for you, but I just feel this is just the beginning. I really do. I really, really do. And you know,
thank you, Tom. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's the least I could do, Joe. God, you know, like the bigger outlets that are reaching out, and you're like, damn, I got this annoying Italian kid on my ass for like 6 weeks.
No.
On my phone, but
not at all. I appreciate it, man.
That's awesome, brother. Listen, thanks again. And listen, how can we find you? Do you have, you know, your Instagram handles, or you have a website, or how can people find you for those who don't know?
Yeah. I'm on the gram. I believe it's Joe_Perrino. And you'll see me. My picture is me and Mr. 50 Cent. That's my.
That's right.
That's the
boss.
picture.
I love it. Does he resonate with that character a little bit? He's like a Queens guy. You know, obviously this is bad in the past.
Yeah. Mr. 50 Cent is definitely, you know, a sharp, savvy dude. You know that. Just from, you know, you look at his resume and where he's come from and how far he's gotten. You know, he's a dude who's really a street dude, and now he's a mogul. So he deserves all the respect in the world. And he's definitely. There has to be a, you know, that Canaan flavor in him. I mean, he had to survive the streets. He survived getting shot 9 times. Yep, I
think it's 9. Yeah.
So. Big respect to the boss man and everybody at Power, at Stars. They're treating me really well. A lot of love, and nothing but love to them back.
Love it, and we send you love from New Theory. And Joe, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Tom. You have a good day, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Ciao.
Bye-bye. Ciao.